Hi there, welcome on board. So, Mary here. Today, we want to talk about family matters. Remember, I'm very passionate about family. I did a video on single parents and dating, and I had a lot of people reaching out through messages, emails, calls, and they had a lot of questions that they did ask me. And I did find it very prudent just to make a video on response to the questions that were brought, because I know there are those who never reached out but maybe they have these questions. And remember, dating as a single parent is not wrong. You have a life, you need to be happy. Your children are going to grow up and they will leave you, they'll go, just do their own stuff. So it is important for a single parent to date. So what were these questions that were brought to me? So the first question, there's someone who really wanted to understand the concept, like who is a single parent. And I'm going to tell you that a single parent is a person who can be under these three categories. So the first category is single parenting out of choice. Like nowadays, we have a lot of people that just decide to get children, but they do not want marriage. So those ones have decided, it is their own decision, that they do not want to get married, and therefore we call them single parents by choice. We have another category of single people, or rather single parents, and these are single parents because of divorce. And remember, I'm talking about divorce, I'm not talking about separation. There's a difference between separation and divorce. If you are legally married and you need to walk out of your marriage, you're supposed to be legally divorced. So if you're legally divorced, then you fall under the category of a single parent. And then the other category, the third one and the last one, is through the death of a spouse. So sometimes we've had people that had their own spouses, and then because of eventualities of life, they lost their spouses. So if you are in such a category, we call them the widows and the widowers. You fall in the category of a single parent. So I hope that I've answered your question, dear friend. The second question that I find it very interesting is, when is it the right time to date? Remember, there's no right time. Like, I cannot have a clear structure for everyone because we are all single out of our various reasons, and also the duration can be different. But if you want to identify the right time for you to try out dating, is when you feel it's right. Are you prepared mentally? Are you prepared emotionally? Are you ready just to give someone else part of your time? So remember, single parenting is quite interesting and tricky at the same time, because most of the time we have children, in the whole equation, and therefore you should ask yourself, am I ready maybe just to move on? Am I even ready to bring someone else to my children's life? Do I feel like I'm ready to create that time and space for someone else? If you feel you're ready, please, you're good to go. And as I have always said, try as many people as you can. Go out for coffee dates, a glass of juice, a glass of wine. Sample as many people as you can until you get the right people. When I talk about sampling, because I had a disagreement with a friend of mine, sampling does not mean being intimate with a person. You can go out for a coffee date, chat with a person, just over a cup of tea, talk, listen to the vibe that is in between the two of you, and then try and see, is there any connection? Are you getting that connection? Sampling does not mean you sample out by sleeping with people or having sex. It is, simply meaning that go find out, do you feel any connection? If you feel any connection between the two of you, then you can take it to the next step, go for the second date, the third one, the fourth one, until you feel that you're ready just for anything. Because sometimes out of desperation, because what I know, I'm a single parent, so most of the time single parents, we have loneliness, and especially when kids start growing up, because they start becoming kinda independent, so like they don't have time for you. You realize that when you go home, if you have children, they are busy watching cartoon, some are on the phone playing games or just doing their own stuff. So sometimes you may feel lonely, and do not allow loneliness to make you run into a person's arm, or rather start dating because of loneliness. Don't date because of loneliness, but rather when you feel that it is the right time. What do you think? Single parents, I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about the right time for dating. And also those that are not single parents, you can please bring on your input. What do you think? Is there any specific right time that you can say this is the right time to date? Okay, so the third question that I was asked is on blended families. Remember, as a single parent, chances are the person that you will date also has maybe his or her own children. And therefore, if you two people are going to agree, you are going to connect, to have that connection, and you decide you want to get married. I have my children, he has his children. When we bring the two families together, that is what we call a blended family. Remember, that is a family that is coming to blend. This is a family where these children are not siblings, but they need to blend. So someone asked, do you think blended families work? Yes, they do work. And no, they don't work. And the reason is simple. If you meet a person who is a single parent like yourself, they have their children, you have your children. It is going to take the two of you a lot of work to ensure that your children blend. That is why it is called a blended family. Picture this. If you take fruits like banana, maybe mangoes and whatever, and you want to make juice out of it, they should blend and become perfect, so that cocktail can be felt. When you take it, it is sweet. The taste is sweet. And it is the same thing when it comes to blended families. Yes, they work. And they are going to work if both parents are going to take the lead. Are you getting it? Take the lead. There is a person who told me that most blended families do not work because everyone wants to protect their own children. Like, for example, if I am in a blended family and I have my partner who also has his own children. When my partner punishes my children, if I become so furious towards him, like in an open way, I will just want to protect my children. Like, why are you punishing my children? You cannot make any decision. These are not your children. The children are going to see that. And once they see that, they are going to make your relationship equally hard. But if you put Christ at the center of such a family, remember, this is a family where the children are not siblings. You need a lot of effort. Put Christ in the middle of all this. Ensure that you lead by example. Let these children from both sides just see you as a mother and the other partner as a father, who they can respect in equal measures, because that is where the challenges come in. And especially when it is a blended family of, you can imagine coming with teenagers. This one has teenagers, the other one has teenagers. It is going to be chaotic. Like, these are grown-ups. They know their rights. Like, they can just look at everything and make their own conclusion. I have seen people who have tried blended families, but it never worked. And the reason is because of the children that are brought in. And then forget about the children. We also have this other, let me call other partners. Like, if I get married to someone else with my children have their own father. This other person, the children have their own mother. And therefore, like, it is everyone on board. Your ex is on board. Your children are on board. You now, the two who wants to make a family, you are on board. So it is going to be very, very chaotic unless you are wise and you know how to handle it. Blended families work, and if you just look around wherever you are, you'll not miss a blended family. What do you think about blended families? I find it to be quite interesting, and I would advise any single parent to go for a blended family. It is so easier to work if you can put everything in order. Come up with clear directions for the children. As spouses, how are you going to relate? What about these exes that are somewhere there at the periphery? It will be very easy for a single parent to date another single parent rather than dating a person who is, totally single. Like, here in Kenya, we like joking. Like, how can you begin a football match? One person has one score and another one 0. Like, how can you begin such a match? You are not at equal levels. So it will be very hard for a single person to embrace a single parent, but it will be very easy for a single parent to date another single parent because they have the same experience. And then the last question, still on blended families. How can the children relate? It is going to be for both parents to ensure that the children relationship is cordial, respectful, because they are now family. So the two parents have a lot of work to do. Ensure that they blend, treat the children equally. Are you getting what I'm saying? Equally. And that is the biggest challenge. There's a parent in a blended family who will want to favor their children, and that is a red flag. There is a problem there because the other children are observing and they'll ask themselves, why is it that they are being mistreated? Like, if you want to buy clothes, buy for all. If you can't afford, just keep on saving until you can get enough money so that you can buy for all the children. And for example, schools, when it comes to education, ensure that you take them to the same schools. If they're going to private schools, let all the children go to private schools. Let us not have what we call favorism. Favorism is not going to work. Once the children realize that there's that aspect of favorism, then they are not going to relate well, because at the end of the day, this is a blended family, and we are trying as much as we can to ensure that the two set of children can relate in a good way, can just live as normal brothers and sisters. And remember, they are not biological, therefore you need a lot of effort. Please avoid favorism, and that is what kills blended families. Avoid favorism. Don't mistreat your partner's children, because once you do that, then it is going to be a red flag, and the whole family is going to be chaotic because everyone will be defending their own children. So when the chaos are too much, definitely it is going to affect the whole relationship, and eventually the whole relationship is going to break. So I hope that I have answered your questions. Those who had asked, please feel free to give out your comment. What is your input on single parents, dating, blended families? In fact, I would love to hear from my audience, any person who has information about blended families. Do you think they do work? Please drop a comment. Thank you for your time, and goodbye.